Patrick. So nice to see you.
Nice to see
We're
you.
in Miami at the Biohackers World Conference, which is so cool. It's such a lovely place here. And I know you for a little bit, for like a year, and I know you before, even for like a couple of years. I've listened to you. So many podcasts. You go on so many podcasts. You talk about your life, your personal stories, and how you grew up. And you grew up in a very interesting family.
Yes.
Like your dad was a Jose Silva Method instructor.
Yes.
Which is so dear to me. I love Jose Silva methods. I've been doing it myself for 5 years. I think it's tremendously improved my life in every sense. I do these meditations every week, and there's different 3-scene technique, as you know. And I know you grew up in that household where your dad taught, that's. Can we dive deep and kind of like go back into your childhood and explain, because it's all started there.
Right. Yeah. Well, what my dad realized was we have to break the cycle of what's happening. How do we actually treat children? When you say to your child, go to your room and think about what you did, that's probably the worst thing you could do to a child, because they just did something negative. Now you're sending them to the room to think about what they did negatively. So my dad used to send us to the room with a book, whether it was As a Man Thinketh or Think and Grow Rich, Power of Thinking Big, all the positive thinking books. And we'd have to.
What age?
Oh, well, I was
when
about
you were
12.
reading already.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And my dad, about 12 years old is when he got help, because he was a chronic alcoholic. And he realized that once he went to the Silva Method, they call it the Ultra Relaxation Seminar. It was just an evening, it was like a preview, to what's going on. But they took him there, and my dad relaxed for the first time, and he realized he was drinking to relax. A lot of people when I wrote the programs for DUIs for the state of Arizona, what I used to tell the people I trained to give the seminars is these people are not trying to get high. They're trying to get balanced. They're trying to get balanced. But the problem is dopamine never gets a payoff. So you've got to realize there's no there. And some people don't like that uncertainty. But if you realize, like the rishis say, your knowledge, what you need in the next moment is in the breath, right? The pranic energy. And so we have to breathe to think. But all negative emotional states are not breathing. So I think what my dad did when he started to do the relaxation, they started doing deep breathing. And once you get the deep breathing, you unlock the nervous system. That unwinds the brain, because the brain is 70% of the nervous system. So when we think about opening up to what's possible, and because we're told, most people out there, maybe not the people watching your podcast, but most people out there think the solution's going to come in a pill.
Or the alcohol.
Or alcohol, or whatever the substance is. They're looking for something external from themselves that is going to...
Stress in the daytime, it's compiled so much. And I see even in my friends, girlfriends, that they get home and they're like, they have a glass or 2 glasses of wine. It's not like to relax, to forget what happened in the day, you know what I mean? And sometimes we
have a natural propensity to that. They did a study once with horses, because we are animals by nature. So they took these horses and they had fermented apples. And so what they were proving was that we all have a desire to disassociate, to like get outside of ourselves, to expand our consciousness. So these horses, what they did, it was really weird in the study, is they would let the horses come over and just get one apple at a time. The horses would get high, drinking fermented apple, eating fermented apples. But then they would always be one horse that didn't get high, that would watch the apples.
Oh.
So it's like they figured out how to do that, and they would let. And the whole thing was about, we're all looking for these out of physical reality kind of experiences. That we have. Everybody has a transcendent experience at some point in their life, and they don't know how to identify with it. So I think what happened with my dad and with our whole family is that we realized that we're not these physical beings. We're in a physical body, but we're not these physical bodies, and that we got to take care of them, or they're not going to take care of us.
And how do you take care of them?
Well, the simple terms are, there's 3 phases to it. there's four now that we're talking in this podcast. But the first one is, of course, nutrition. You can't outthink a bad diet. So if you think you're going to get healthy and you're going to eat junk food, that's not going to happen unless you're Saint Germain and you can, because food has energy. So think about it. If I had a big meal out here and it was all fresh, vibrant foods, and it's radiating with energy, we eat it, it goes into our body, it doesn't take as much energy to convert that. But if I take low energy foods like sugars and fats, that are bad fats, and we put them into our body is going to have to raise them up to a frequency. So it's going to have to rob our body's resources. That's why if anybody has an HRV, like an Oura Ring or a Whoop or a BioStrap or something like that, they can notice when they eat, their heart rate variability will go down because you don't get energy from the food. You get energy from the transaction of the food. So if we think of, we call it food and we have water and solid foods, but the reality is it's all information. So what's that information doing? So if you think about high energy foods, high energy thoughts, high energy people, the reason that people start eating healthier, so first thing is eating, second is movement. You'll see that people in movement, it's a law of physics, a mass at rest tends to stay at rest, mass at motion tends to stay at motion. We need to be moving as much as possible. These nervous systems that we have, our body is meant to adapt.
Yeah, we're constantly sitting everywhere, on the plane, on the car, at home, in the office.
And that's why they say now 20 minutes of sitting is equivalent to smoking a cigarette.
Wow.
So when you think about neurological function, when you're sitting, the body thinks, okay, we're recovering, but you're still sitting. It's 8 hours later, you're still sitting, and the body's going, what's going on here? Because we have an adaptive system. All of our systems are adaptive. There's no fixed system in the human body. Mm-hmm. In fact, as the rishis say, that the body's like a river. Right. And if you look at a river, it looks the same. From a distance, everything's the same, but that's a different river because the water's flowing down. So like you and I right now, as we've been sitting here speaking, every 40 seconds since we were born, since the very first cell, every 40 seconds on average, your body is changing every genetic pair.
Oh yeah.
So you're adapting to this environment. And when somebody says, well, what's influencing it? Everything.
Your thoughts,
yes,
your behaviors,
yes,
your environment, your people that you surround with. But let's talk about frequency. How can you change frequency? And also going back to Jose Silva, that method is so incredible. Did you think that it shaped your life?
Oh,
you
yes,
understood?
Yes. Well, I was held back in second grade. I'm told I wasn't very smart. And, I was there were 5 of us. And I remember in first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, even when I was better at it, they still didn't believe it. They kept me in that class until 5th grade.
Oh, no way.
And so, I was way ahead of everybody then. And my dad taught me how to relax before a test because the stress factor, I was one of those kids, I was an artist. So I was very sensitive to things and not knowing what that is because nobody trained you. Nobody said, hey, you're getting all this interference because you're sensitive. You have this almost psychic ability, when I was so creative, because I was an artist, that I would just fantasize what was going to happen the next minute, next hour, next day, and I would just sit. I thought everybody did that.
Yeah.
And I had an experience once. I had a radio show for 12 years in Virginia Beach, and I was sitting in the studio, and I remember being a kid, pretending I was in a studio, but it was that studio.
How cool.
And it's like at that moment I remembered that because I used to always pretend I was on a radio show, not knowing at that time I didn't know I was going to be on a radio show, but my subconscious knew or my consciousness.
Yeah.
And so I think that so number 2 is movement. You need to do something every day, whether it's yoga, tai chi, dance. Just get up and move.
Yeah.
Funny story. There's a friend of mine from Canada who's at our property right now in North Carolina, and he does Tai Chi, so we're going to have him out to do some things when people do that. But he was going to do some sound recording with my recording studio, and he's sitting in a chair, and he's got his hand up here, and I tried my face to him, he's, how do you do this? I'm sitting, I said, that's a stand-up desk. It's like he was sitting in this little chair in this little thing. I said, because I know that standing up, I used to sit a lot. I mean, when I was in my practice, seeing people all day long, I'm sitting, listening, and that's not a really good way for the brain. The brain doesn't like that. Now, number 3, you need to have some kind of brain fitness protocol. Now, you can do it free. You don't have to buy BrainTap, although I encourage everybody to at least try BrainTap. But you can do it with breath work. We now know the breath connects everything. It's not just a convenient thing. And most people don't know how to breathe. So if you're listening to this or watching this, and every once in a while you go, you catch yourself, that's because you're holding your breath. And if we just learn to just kind of give ourselves our own psychological size, we are piezo energy. I mean, we're collecting energy all the time, these bodies. And so when we get too much energy, we got to move. But if we're just sedentary, the body will become what they call self-protective. Yeah. It's like when Bruce Lipton says your cells are either in recovery they're either in protection or expansion. And so we want to look at life from the 4th level, though. The 4th level is like a spiritual kind of connection, that you have to realize you are an energy being. You're not physical. This is physical, but the reality is if we were to take an electron microscope and look at you, you're not there. This is an illusion. Somehow we're perceiving this. And I tell people, everybody has had an experience before. They're in the kitchen and they're looking for the salt shaker and they can't see it. And whoever's the other person in the living room saying, it's right there, it's right on the counter. And then so finally they walk out there and they say, it's right here. And they go, well, it wasn't there a minute ago, right? That's because in neuroscience, we know that you actually render up to 90% of your reality. So what we're seeing here right now, this is not what's really here. This is what we rendered to be here. And if we didn't render the salt shaker, it doesn't fill up. We all have blind spots. So once we know our blind spots, and that's why with Silva, I like it because you go to level, which is alpha. They call alpha the neutral for the brain. And what happens then is you have discretionary access to your superconscious. Because in the beta brain, which is your reactionary brain, you don't want people thinking. If it's a saber-toothed tiger was chasing, you don't want to think, oh, which way should I go? You just want to go. Yeah. But a lot of people nowadays, because we have phones and news on 24 hours, they trigger this response every day. Our nervous system is designed for that to happen 3 times a week, maybe. If you think about it before all this technology, before we even lived in homes, these bodies, the people in these bodies would be like nomads. Yeah. They would go where the food was. There was no refrigerators, so they had to follow the tribe. And even though it seems like a long time for us, it's not a long time for our bodies. These bodies really haven't evolved, but what we're seeing now, more than anything else in 2015, is that they found a new system in the human body, the glial lymphatic system. So if they found that one, what else is in our body right now? Like, I always tell people back in the day when AOL used to send out those CDs and to get you online, and they didn't do anything, but you put them in your computer and said, call this number, give them this key. And what it was is inside of that CD, once you unlock the code, the whole program opened up. That's us.
It's the same we have, cause.
So if we learn our code, what's the code to unlock and rebraid our DNA so that we become the superconscious beings that we're designed to be?
How do we do that?
Well, if I knew, I didn't. We're still looking. But I shared a story here at the conference. They did a radionics conference in Chicago. In radionics, think of it as while we're here in this room, between us, there's every radio station, every TV station. It's all here. We just don't pick it up because we don't have a receiver. If we had a receiver, we'd pick up the TV station or we'd pick up the radio station. But it's all happening here, right? So if it's all happening here, then we can tap into the field. Everything happens in the field. So people go, we know that thoughts have magnetic qualities to them. They actually have energy. So that thought actually goes out to a probable future. And if all the stars align and the planets are right and all those things happen, you're on that path. And I think that a lot of people don't, when you're on the path, you have joy and happiness and satisfaction, and these are natural states of being. But the problem is that we're always being drawn out of that.
That's true. And how do you think if BrainTap, if people use BrainTap on a daily basis, will help them to get settled and open those neuroplasticities that actually helps visualization?
Yeah.
Can you?
Yes, let's talk a little bit about that,
Yeah.
because a lot of people talk about capacity, but they don't understand what that means. I mean, we don't have a stress problem in the world. We don't have a mental health problem. We have a capacity problem. I mean, we're being challenged everywhere. Our nervous system is being taxed. You know, if you watch 24-hour news cycle, if you look at your phone 300 times a day, those are not good things for our body. Our body's more of a state of flow. So when you think about how do you do it, well, there's a frequency with that. So our Earth is like if you and I were on your spaceship before you got here, and we were on your spaceship toward Earth, we would look at Earth on the thing and we'd say, oh, that's 0.5 to 100 frequencies. Mm-hmm. So let's say there's a volcano going off, that's 100 frequency, that's 100, you know. That's why, do you remember when the tsunami hit down in all the videos about this tsunami? What's really weird is there's no birds, no animals there.
Right, they left before the flood, before the tsunami, because
they were in tune. They were in tune.
Yeah.
They're in tune with the rhythms of the planet. This planet is actually from space. It's one person. They did an experiment, and it's in Dr. Jockman's book called The Crystal Planet, where they took you have a frequency. I mean, you literally have your own unique tone frequency. That's why these cells stay with you, you know, and my frequency stays with me, you know. But what they did was, this was during Vietnam War, they could put this in a room. Let's say there's 23 people in here. They would know there's 23 people here. So the way our government works, which is crazy, they said, let's put this up in space, and we could point at the jungles. We'll know how many Viet Cong there are in the jungles. And so they put this up in the satellite. They point it back at Earth, and the scientists are blown away. It registers one being and makes the sound of Om from space.
Wow.
Now, how did the rishis know that, whatever, 10, 20,000 years ago? Because we're not here. We're non-locale. You know, so like at Quantum University is one of those universities I teach at, we talk about quantum physics in health. Because really, when you think about quantum physics, it's almost like a spiritual, it's almost like you're talking about some kind of, religious doctrine.
Yeah.
But the reality is that everything can be broken down by numbers.
Everything.
Yeah.
I just met this incredible Dr. Dog. He's a quantum musician.
Awesome,
and I'm sure, I don't know if you know him, but
introduce me.
He literally travels around the world and heals people with the quantum healing.
Yes, awesome.
Like he says, everything in the body can mitigate and heal. It's all in our energetic fields.
If you can get the resistance out, the divine flow will happen. Your body knows how to heal itself. We have an innate ability to heal. We don't need a pill to heal.
No.
You know, the pill is what I tell people, the pill is actually, it's the reaction to the pill. It's not even the pill that's doing it. That's why they might give you one medicine and that works, and another person that same medicine, it won't work.
Yeah.
Because you're an in one. Yeah. You're the research project of one. There's nobody like you.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. I know you take 3 hours in the morning, which is such a luxury for everyone. And I dream of that. Yes. I have a kid. I don't have that luxury in the morning, even though I do.
Yeah, my kids are 40 and 41. So.
I have to wait another 10 years for that until I get up and I'm like, hello, meditate for half an hour, do my brain
and I started getting up. I started getting up at 3:30 and 4 in the morning. Wow. I don't use an alarm clock, but I get up because I look forward to that time. That 2 to 3 hours that it's just me and my thoughts and doing meditation and doing my biohacking stuff and just tuning up my body.
How long do you meditate for a day?
Oh, usually up to 2 hours.
Like at the times, or you break that?
That's in 3 times.
In 3 times, yeah.
But usually in the morning I do an hour-long meditation because
with the BrainTap.
With the BrainTap, I use gamma, one of the gamma frequencies, and I do my TM meditation.
Oh, okay.
Because I was.
And then the breath work?
Yeah, and then the breath work. Because you do breath work before you do TM to get your body ready. Okay. I love breath work. I mean, we have the breath source is on our app. Okay. They're a group of really gifted people. I'm so amazed. I probably will take a course in breath work.
Yeah, the Travis owns that. Yes. I just met him last week.
He's a great guy. And so, and then what I do is I like the infrared sauna. We're light beings. So we need to think of it like, if you're going to drive across the country, you got to put gas in the tank.
That's true.
If you're going to have a really good day, you got to put gas in the tank. And you've got to plan your day. You know, and I wouldn't like to. Could you imagine watching your favorite movie, but the actors and actresses never rehearsed?
That would be like
Right.
chaotic, and
But
you
people
can't
do that
follow.
with their own, people do that with their own life.
Absolutely
They don't
right.
realize that you're subconscious. That's what Silva taught us. You go to level.
And you program your day,
Yes,
you program
yes,
your week, you
yes.
program your life, basically.
And that's in the end of every one of our sessions. That's why somebody goes, "Did you do Jose Silva?" I was like, "Yeah, my dad was in this." I mean, I did so many times because if my dad was doing a seminar, there weren't big ones like we have here. They were like 30, 40 people at a time. But if he didn't have 30 or 40 people, the boys were in the seats. We were going through it as well. So I've probably been through it hundreds of times.
We're so lucky. I gotta start teaching my daughter, because I think it's such a.
If they can learn early,
it'll change your life.
When you learn early that stress is not a bad thing, it's just a thing, and that you can move through it. And if you build capacity, the world's your, you can do whatever.
Yeah.
The people that can manage stress are the ones that rule the world.
Mm-hmm. And so, what's your kind of a favorite biohack out of all of it, besides the BrainTap?
Besides BrainTap?
Like we in this business, we see so much.
I think my favorite, and I do it every day that I'm home, is I have a trifecta light bed. It's got, I can set different Noget frequencies, I can set different Rife frequencies on the top and the bottom. And to me, what I've seen as far as, we're all at a mitochondria deficiency.
Yeah.
It seems as if the world is trying to shut down our power of who we are. Because you look at these autoimmune dysfunctions, they're turning our bodies against us. And the reality is that we can reprogram that.
Yeah.
And, when you go to level, if you don't know Jose Silva, then you could go to Mind Valley or something, and they have a course for that. But
that's where I learned.
Yeah, good. And then with BrainTap, you don't really need that, but you could just pick what you want to listen to and do it. There's you could share your link. There's a 14-day trial. So if they do it for 14 days, if they like it, great. It's going to charge them $29.95 a month. But if they don't like it and they cancel before the 14th day, they'll be charged nothing. So what I always tell people is, don't take my word for it.
Try it.
Try it. And 90% of the people that download the app and listen to it will have their best night's sleep.
Oh yeah, amazing. I always have, when I use it at night. Remember I asked you before, actually when I started using BrainTap at night, I couldn't sleep because it was rewiring my brain, right? And you said to people who, like your wife has a blue eyes and I have a green eyes, it's sensitive. But now I have no problem. I actually built the
neural pathways.
Right. And now I have the most profound, especially if I do the deep sleep, most profound dreams and visualization, even before I dive into but now of course I do my Jose Silva meditations once a week, and it's so funny.
You could actually put on the gamma sessions. We have Rife frequencies and Silva frequencies. But put that on and then do your Silva, because your brain will be in gamma.
Amazing. I love it so much. I mean, I have it, all that stuff. So thank you so much for being here and talking to me. And I want to say one thing. I meet a lot of people, and your eyes are the most amazing eyes, in the sense where it's not the color, it's not the shape of the eyes, but the energy that you portray from your eyes. It's so beautiful, and it's such a beautiful space to be around your energy as well.
Oh, thank you.
So
that was great. Your smiles are contagious. Thank you.
Unlock your full potential at the Biohackers World Conference and Expo in Los Angeles on March 29th and 30th. Connect with leaders in health optimization, learn the secrets to longevity, boost your performance, and dive into the latest biohacking and wellness innovations. Don't miss out. Tickets are going fast.